Alright, welcome back to the RootBSD Technology channel. Here at the RootBSD Technology channel, we love all things free and open source, but we especially love OpenBSD. And today is a special day. It's the 20th of October, Thursday, 2022, and OpenBSD 7.2 was just released. We'll go to it right here. Let's see, right here. Here we go, OpenBSD 7.2. Wow, OpenBSD has been going since 1997, so it's been, 1997. Let's see, 2017, that's 20 years. So we're going 25 years now. OpenBSD has been going. And if my math is off, I'm sorry, it's been a long day. I found out about this about 30 minutes before I had to go to work. And I worked the night shift. So I've been home, I've eaten, done all my laundry, and I've been just sitting here going, you gotta make this video, you gotta make this video. And I haven't been like super in the mood to make a video. I haven't felt super talkative. So please forgive me if I'm trying to like kind of get myself like in the mode, you know. But yeah, OpenBSD 7.2, it just got released. We have some neat artwork here. This artwork is definitely Dr. Seuss inspired. One diff, 2 OKs, commit, and blowfish. And I appreciate the Dr. Seuss artwork because I am a dad and I got 2 young boys, and we love reading Dr. Seuss. It's great for teaching children how to read and their vocabulary and stuff. So definitely really based. I like that. Artwork is by John Chad. Great artwork, John Chad, and just goes to show that only Chads work on OpenBSD and use OpenBSD. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Sorry, John. I don't mean to make fun of your name. You have a badass name though, John. I do admit. So yeah, let's take a look at this. So right away, we have Signify pub keys for the 7.2 release. Now, just in case you're wondering, this is the what's called the release branch or stable branch. It's stable branch once they start releasing patches for it. But this is the way OpenBSD release cycle works. Every year they have 2 releases, and it's usually in the spring and in the fall. They're usually about 6 months apart from each other, but just like all the other BSD projects, releases are not on a set schedule. They generally do fall around a certain time frame, but you never know when a release is going to happen. That's why I couldn't prepare for this. I just kind of had to wait till it happened. There wasn't anything to look at, a cheat sheet or anything. I just actually had to wait for the release. But now when you install a release, just in case somebody's new to this channel, they don't know, then it installs OpenBSD on your system, and for the next 6 months, that is going to be, in that point in time in the source tree, the OpenBSD that you're going to be using. Now, OpenBSD will provide patches, and we can open this in a new tab. OpenBSD will provide patches, and you can look at that through here in the patches section. And they don't have any right now, but in 7.1 you can see right here. So they released, around in April, or either April or March, I can't remember. They released OpenBSD 7.1, and then as they were developing and important reliability and security fixes came along, they released patches. So for that 6 months, you are using that OpenBSD the way it was in the source tree as that release happened, but they do release fixes and patches, and they also do backport security fixes to the certain ports like Chromium and stuff like that. But for the most part, it stays put, and you don't get an upgrade on your packages unless there was an important, like in a web browser, like an important security update and it was backported. So it stays the same until the next release. And for some people, especially in the server space, this is really helpful because, not everybody has the free time to be constantly doing system upgrades. Not everybody running the server. It's not always wise to run the server running the development branch. Now you can. And with OpenBSD, it's not as violently aggressive with their development. Like, kind of like, I'm thinking of like Arch Linux, where if you wait a couple months to do an update, there could be an issue with your system. With OpenBSD, you can generally get away with, even on the development branch, you can get away with updating every, once a month or every other month. But generally, I personally think that once a month is like the limit for the development branch. But let's see what's new with the release branch. Let's see here. This is a partial list of new features and systems included in OpenBSD 7.2. For a comprehensive list, let's see the changelog leading into 7.2. Now, I'm not going to pretend to act like I understand what all of this means. or a lot of this stuff doesn't apply to me. A lot of this stuff is very technical. A lot of it is circled around all the different architectures that OpenBSD supports, and OpenBSD supports a lot of architectures. If we go here to the download section, you can see right here, just on alone, we have AMD 64, ARM 64, i386, Octeon, PowerPC, RISC-V, and Spark PC. But they also have support for ARM version 7, LANDisk, Longsoon, Luna 88K, Octeon, and those. So the reason why OpenBSD supports all these different architectures is they believe that by continuing to support some of these architectures that aren't as popular, they're not used as much, but by continuing to develop OpenBSD and run it on these architectures, it'll help them find deeper, harder to find bugs. This is actually a strategy for finding bugs, is by running OpenBSD on these more obscure architectures that not everyone uses. And they have found, interesting bugs and vulnerabilities by doing this. So it's a good strategy, and I understand why they're doing this. And also, it's great because a lot of routers and stuff will run on Octeon. But Longsoon and Luna 88K, that's not really in heavy use anymore. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but they can, they even used to do backs, which was really old. That's like back from the time sharing, mainframe computer days. But by maintaining these interesting kind of esoteric architectures, they definitely can improve the code base on AMD 64 and ARM in the meantime. So let's see here. So new and extended platforms. So like I said, a lot of this is going to be revolving around support for the other platforms. So we added support for the Ampere Ultra, the Apple M2. So the Apple M2 support was greatly improved in this release. We also added support for Lenovo ThinkPad X13s and other machines using the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8-core Gen 3 SoC. So apparently, I didn't know this, but there are Lenovo ThinkPads that actually run ARM. And they added some support for the Lenovo ThinkPads X13 series. So if you have those, the support. So some more support, is slowly being added to different machines. Everyone always complaining, oh, OpenBSD doesn't have very good hardware support. Well, as each release comes, they're adding more hardware support. They're adding support for the Apple M2, adding support for RISC-V, that was last release. Now they're adding support for ARM on the ThinkPad. So it's kind of coming along. It's slow. It's not as fast as Linux. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the development team. And they don't have the money and the corporate backing that Linux has. So they're always going to kind of be in the shadow of Linux when it comes to hardware support and, like I'll get into earlier about how they use the Linux Direct Rendering Manager and stuff like that. But they're not that far off. And they are definitely improving in a lot of ways. See right here, BSD RD and BSD MP can boot on Oracle Cloud instances now, so we're looking at cloud support for OpenBSD. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because some of these, they're very technical, and I'm not going to pretend like I understand every little aspect of these. But you can see a lot. You can go through these yourself and see a lot has been fixed, a lot has been changed. In terms, changed, improved. Right here, even disk label, some changes were made. And so you can see that even on the small OpenBSD utilities, like disk label, like syscontrol, you can see in SoftRaid, they're still working on these very low-level base utilities and improving them and fixing them. And that attention to detail is very important. What you have with OpenBSD is you have a very competent dev team that is actively working on the system. They're not just maintaining it or doing the bare minimum just to get it out. They don't have utilities in their source tree that are 10 years old and haven't been touched. If they do, let me know. But I think most everything in the OpenBSD base utility system is being actively looked at and worked on, and it's not being ignored. So they've made improvements on SMP. I think that means single multiprocessor. So that would mean definitely these are all performance improvements in the network stack and the way the SMP performs. So you can see right here, those are some performance improvements and security improvements. Direct rendering management and graphics drivers. So they updated the DRM to Linux 5.15.6.9. Now that's pretty close to Linux. Like I know I'm running Debian on a couple machines, and we're still at Linux 5.10 in Debian. So 5.15 for DRM on an OpenBSD release. That's pretty substantial. Now, am I a huge fan of the Linux DRM? Now, all BSDs we port our DRM code from Linux. Am I a big fan of DRM code? No. DRM code is what has been considered the poop sandwich. It's a very messy, nasty tech stack, the Linux DRM stack. But it's functional. It's what we got. It's what we got to work with. But I do know that the OpenBSD kernel developers aren't crazy about it. It's yeah. If you ever want to go down the rabbit hole of the DRM stack, look up what's his name? He develops Arcan. I should type Arcan OpenBSD. I want to get into Arcan. Arcan is a very interesting project. It's kind of like it has the same concept as Wayland. And this actually, Arcan does have a working port of OpenBSD. It does work at OpenBSD. It's not seeing a lot of usage because Arcan has a concept like Wayland, as it's being developed as an independent display manager outside of X, that it does have the ability to interface with X. But the only issue I have with Arcan is that the whole method of using it is very complicated and esoteric and unnatural feeling compared to using other display servers. I'll just tell you right now. But if you ever check out this, I'll put a link to this in the description. Check this out. He gets into the state of the Linux DRM stack and what that's all about. But that's still neat. I'm glad that we have up-to-date Linux DRM. And Intel DRM support for Alder Lake and Raptor Lake has been brought into the newest release. Some improvements on other architectures. Some improvements to the virtual machine. OpenBSD does have a native virtual machine called VMM. Now, I know that OpenBSD's native virtual machine it still lacks a lot of features that other virtual machines like KVM and Beehive have. I think one of the biggest things is that it only supports console level virtualization. So you can virtualize things, but only on a console level. I don't think it supports virtualizing like X and graphics yet. It's not like running VMware or VirtualBox or Virt Manager. It's not the same. So VMM has seen some improvements, but it's definitely if you just want to give you a heads up in case you're not familiar with OpenBSD. OpenBSD's virtualizer is not the same as doing it in Linux. You can't just run it like you run VirtualBox. It's more on the server side. It'll emulate things on a server level, but graphically, no. Like I can't just run the latest Ubuntu release in OpenBSD's VMM and give it a test run like they do on YouTube. Like let's try out all the features. Now maybe Ubuntu server, yes, I could do that, but not the graphical side. Unless that's changed. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, and I'll definitely I'll pin your comment if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, it's only server side with VMM and console mode. Various new user-lane features. They replaced RCD with an RC exec function. This will be something interesting that I need to look into. So a lot of bug fixes in FDisk. Wow. Big changes to FDisk, and I have been using OpenBSD 7 newest version of FDisk recently. It's very nice. I definitely I love OpenBSD's disk partitioning tools. They're very nice, and wow, they definitely made some huge improvements to disk label and FDisk and package. Oh, package add had a huge rewrite, and package add's a little bit faster now. It's running a lot better. They've enabled package add caching by default, so that's really neat. So all in all, I'm not going to bore you with all these, but just a lot of really neat changes. Improved hardware support and driver bug fixes. And here's the Apple Audio Subsystem, Apple MCMA controller. So you can see a lot of, and also this is Sci5, so RISC-V GPIO controllers and SoC. So you can see that there's a lot of work going into ARM and RISC-V and SoC. There's not going to be, I foresee in the future, there's going to be this kind of a shifting away from the dominance of AMD 64. It's not going to be dominant forever. You're going to see this in the future. The AMD 64 is going to eventually slowly, it's going to get some competitors in ARM and RISC-V, and that's fantastic. I would love to just jump ship from AMD 64 and only use ARM devices. I don't know if I'll be able to do YouTube content because it's still, even on a Linux running ARM system, just screencasting and doing what I'm doing right here can be a challenge. But we're getting there. And even they've had work on the installer upgrade and bootloader improvements, which I find fascinating. And of course, security improvements. As we've had some security improvements. I can see that this release is focused more on hardware support, on fixing up base utilities, so a lot of cleaning house. Not so much blazing trails with security at the moment, but you can see that there have been some security improvements, and you'll see this kind of wane and wane throughout the years. Some years they're doing more heavy duty stuff with the security, and then some years they're doing more heavy duty stuff to kind of clean up the existing system and make it more functional and fix all the bugs in it. So really neat. And man, if you're just interested in operating system development and how the whole thing goes down, man, you can just get a play-by-play of just real-time operating system development and all the different, so much has to go into this. So much goes into it. We take for granted how much work goes into this stuff. I mean, just looking at this stuff, I mean, like, this is a lot of work. This is some serious stuff, and kudos to these OpenBSD developers. Man, they're just... I don't think a lot of these guys are doing this for any kind of a pay check at all. I think a lot of them just do this as a volunteer job, and this is pretty amazing. And you can see, just now we're going into networking areas. Improvements in the BGPD payment daemon. IPsec support was improved. The RPKI client saw some changes. MPD? That's interesting. I've heard of send mail to people daemon. So, and a lot of stuff here. Even TMUX saw some improvements. LibreSSL is now at version 3.6. And it just goes on and on and on. And you can see they give you basically like a report card of all the work they've gotten done in the previous year. This has all been the work. I'm sorry, not previous year, in the past 6 months. This is all the work they've been getting done since 7.1, which was last spring. So this isn't even a whole year. This is like a solid 6 months of work. And the amount of what they are getting done is fantastic. It's amazing. And, OpenSSH 9.1, there's some security improvements to it. Bug fixes improvement. Mandoc, which is the man page system, has some new features. Got rid of the archaic HTML table markup for header and footer lines, so they're definitely modernizing some of the man page stuff. So look here, ports and packages, many pre-built packages for these architectures, some highlights. So if you want to look in, you're gonna have Chromium 105, Emacs 28.2, FFmpeg 4.4.2, GHC 9.2.4, and that's kind of what if you want to use the release, that's kind of what you're going to be stuck with until next spring. But if you want to have the latest up-to-date software that is available in the OpenBSD ports tree, of course you can always run current, and I run current, which is the development branch. And for the most part, current is pretty stable. I've never really had too many serious issues running current. I personally believe that running current is just like running like Arch Linux. It's kind of bleeding edge on that level, whereas running release is kind of like taking it down to like Debian CentOS level, where it's really, really stable. Like you're just kind of taking it easy. You're like, I'll wait till the next release and see where they're at there, which, I'll wait till next spring, which is cool. And some people like that. I personally like to run current. I've never had an issue with it. But either way, whatever is best for your needs. Let's see here. So yeah, they have GNOME 42.4 if you like to run GNOME. I'm sorry guys, but still no KDE Plasma for OpenBSD. I don't think that the port went very well. I think they tried to port it, but it lacked. I think it lacked the enthusiasm. But they do have the KDE framework 5.98, KDE applications 22.8. We're on Clang 13, so you can go through this and see, if some of this stuff, if it's not that new to you, I don't know. I mean, they still have Python 2, straight up. They still have Python 2 imports, but that's you can choose not to use Python 2. You can choose not to have it in your system, but if a certain port that you like requires Python 2, it's gonna bring that in as a dependency. So if you don't want Python 2 on your system, you don't have to have it on there. It is available in case you do need it, which is interesting because a lot of other systems are completely just removing Python 2. Like I know Arch has removed Python 2, and I think FreeBSD is going to complete. So I'm wondering at what point in time OpenBSD, being the security-oriented system, is going to remove Python 2. But Python 2 is not a part of OpenBSD's main system. It's a third-party program in ports, and it's up to you whether or not you want to install it. So yeah, really neat stuff. Really excited. OpenBSD 7.2, check it out. If you don't have a spare machine to install it to, check it out in a virtual machine, or if you have a need for some kind of like a server or a virtual private server. There's DigitalOcean, there's Linode, there's Vultr, there's different services that you can use they will on their machines in their cloud, they will spin up an OpenBSD machine for you, and you can use it for various things. You can use it to, for anything, to be an email server, to be to run a web. You can just run a website off of it. You can host a static website. It can do pretty much anything that a server, a Linux server, can do. It has the ability to run HTTPD and Nginx and Apache and all that stuff. So yeah, if you get a chance to, or if you need a server to use, definitely check out OpenBSD 7.2. I know it's not for everybody. I know not everybody can use it. But if you have the opportunity, check out the new release or check out OpenBSD 7.2 current branch. And that's all. I just wanted to put this video out. That's enough of me rambling. But y'all have a great day. And that's it. RootBSD out.